Steven, can you hear me?
I got you. Hold on, sir. Start the
Okay.
video here.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. This is my class. This is my communications class, CMAT 2030 here at Chicago State University.
Okay.
I want to do an introduction of you before we get started. So first of all, thank you for taking your time to do that. I see you're actually in the lab cooking up right now. So,
man, literally just walked out of a session, man. So I'm kind of hot and sweaty right now. Pardon if you see me shining.
That, but that's cool. It's good. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest, Mr. Steven Goard, from a childhood stage performer to a rapper and producer to voice actor. Steven has had the unique ability to create a vibe and capture audience's attention. As a husband and father of 5, he understands the importance of family values and incorporates them in his work as a voice actor. He takes great pride in delivering authentic, engaging, and sincere voice acting performances that resonate with clients and audience alike. He's worked with such brands as Moderna, Gatorade, Principal Financial, Chevron, OXO, NerdWallet, Pepsi, Progressive Insurance, Good Cop, Bad Cop, and Coco Melon, and many more. Please welcome Mr. Steven Goard.
I appreciate you having me. You having me, guys.
So Steven, what we want to do is just get an idea of your journey. How did you get to this space? And then I have some students that have questions for you to get more insight in what it is that you do. So I'll give you the stage.
Absolutely. And again, I appreciate you having me, man. Guys, thank you again for giving me your time. So my background, and again, pardon me, I'm a little hoarse because this is a long narration session that I just got out of. It was like 2 hours long, and it's just like talking all the way through. So it can weigh you down a little bit. But, honestly, I started as a stage performer as a kid. I got into drama, and this is when I was 7 years old. So, my background started in stage performance. And I did that for almost 6 years as a child. And then, moving into my teens, man, I grew up in the era of hip hop that was in 95. And, Rakim was one of those people who was influential in my hip hop journey. And so I really took after him. I started getting behind the microphone and writing, poetry and writing and emceeing was really how I got my introduction into not just performing, but being in the studio, being behind a microphone and being on stage in that kind of medium. And then from there, I'm just to tell y'all my age, I'm 46, man. I got 5 kids. And so, after getting into, after journeying from Chicago, I graduated in 95. So after journeying from Chicago to Atlanta, I actually came down here. If anybody knows Outkast, you heard of groups like that. I mean, Outkast back in 95 was, everything out here in Atlanta. And I was trying to find a way to establish myself as an artist. So, I went to college at Georgia Southern and I stayed out there for about a year, again, just kind of dabbling a little bit. But then ended up moving back to Chicago. I actually went to Columbia College and studied sound engineering while I was at Columbia College for about a year. And then I decided I really wanted to hit it, in about, I'd say 98 is when I moved back out to Atlanta to pursue music full time. And 98 was when Outkast was really, really popping. I mean, they were really an influence in me just seeing that there was a market out here. I mean, it was tough trying to make it in Chicago as an artist. So I came out here, man, and I learned everything about music, getting behind the boards, being in the studio, being in a booth. I built my own studio, started working on music and production. And, time went by. I actually did not get into voiceover probably until I'd say 2013. I was signed to my first agency. But everything that I did prior to that kind of led me to voiceover. I mean, by the time, 2013 hit, I'm in my 30s, late 30s. Mm-hmm. I'm not about to be the next Ludacris coming out. I'm not about to be, I love emceeing, I love being behind a microphone, but I wanted to find a way to pivot. And so I actually put together my own voiceover demo. I shopped it out to a few people. I linked up with a guy. Matter of fact, there's a studio out there that R. Kelly used to record at a lot in Chicago. The guy got a hold of my demo. He said, listen, if you're serious, let me hear your chops in person. He offered me the opportunity to fly out. I flew out. CRC Studios, as a matter of fact. I don't know if any of you guys are into music, but CRC Studios is a huge studio that R. Kelly used to record at. And Donovan Whalen was the engineer that I worked with, and he helped produce my very first demo. After I produced my first demo, I shopped it around to about 3 people out here in Atlanta. I got picked up by an agency called Houghton Talent. Now, the one thing I want to impress upon y'all, man, is I have raw talent for voiceover with my experience and my background. But the one thing that I did not do is that I didn't get any formal training. And so that's what I didn't realize was my downfall when I first got into voiceover in 2013. So mind you, I got signed to one of the first agencies that gave me a look. After I got signed, I booked my very first commercial out the gate. That was for Publix. That's a store out here. I don't think they have any in Chicago, but it's a big store out here in the South. And it was a radio spot. It was a national radio spot. I booked it, and I'm thinking like, yo, this is it. You know, I'm on a roll. I didn't book anything else for about almost 3 years. And I didn't understand why. So, you know, fast forward, life, children, you know, pandemic, so on and so forth. A lot of things happened between me trying to really establish myself as a voice actor and finding opportunities with the agency that I was with. Once the pandemic hit, you know, a lot of people, the voiceover industry actually changed a bit. Because a lot of auditions, a lot of castings were done in person. You would literally go out to the studio, you would record your auditions, you would be directed by a casting director. I didn't really have that opportunity. You know, I worked with my agent at Houghton Talent, but still could not figure out why I wasn't booking. I decided after, you know, the pandemic hit, I kind of bought some more equipment and wanted to get serious about my career as a voice actor. So I went and I sought people who were doing it already. And the one thing that they all told me was that I needed training. And so I began to search for places where I could actually get formal training as a voice actor. Once I actually got training as a voice actor, I would say midsummer in 2020, about August, is when I decided to really get serious. And I trained for the good part of a year, man. And I would say probably sometime in 2021, October, I decided that I was going to go ahead and try and seek representation, large representation at, you know, other agencies besides the one I had in Atlanta. But I also decided I needed to be able to utilize the training that I had. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of what they have, they call them pay-to-play sites. Have any of you guys ever heard of pay-to-play sites at all?
No.
Okay, so a pay-to-play site is essentially a website that you have where casting directors, agencies can post auditions for commercials, TV commercials, audiobooks. I mean, honestly, voiceover is a pretty large, and we can talk about that a little bit. It's a pretty large area. You have everything from promo, which you see for sports. You know, you got movie trailers, you have audiobooks, you have regular national TV commercials, you know, explainers for businesses. It's a huge area that you can, you know, journey into. And really, you know, at the end of 2021, I got serious. I began to look for more representation. I did a demo, a new demo, and I got picked up by an agency called CESD, which is one of the biggest agencies in New York. I also began to audition more on pay-to-play sites, which gave me practice. All the things that I was learning, all the training I was getting, you know, a pay-to-play site allows you to audition on your own for stuff that people put out there. When you're with the agency, agencies typically send you auditions that you audition for. And then from there, man, no, go ahead.
About the pay-to-play, is that something that you have to actually pay to audition?
Literally like it sounds. You pay and you get on the site. It's usually like a yearly fee, or you can do a monthly fee. The one that I typically use, they have a lot of them. Voices.com, you have voices123.com, Boldago. You know, if you do research, I mean, it's not hard to find, but, you know, most of the time you pay like a yearly fee or a monthly fee, and that gives you access to the auditions that people put out there. Yeah, and I just began to audition a lot. I mean, like, one of the things that they'll tell you, don't expect to book anything. One booking is after about 200 auditions. I mean, that's booking. A lot of auditioning.
Wow. So thank you for sharing that. I have some students that have some questions. I know we only have like 15 minutes left. You're just giving us a whole lot of game just really early. I know I'm out of shot. You've given us a lot of game so far, but this is Avian. She has a question for you.
Okay. Pleasure to meet you, Avian.
What was the biggest challenge mentally you faced getting to where you are today?
The biggest challenge, honestly, was realizing that raw talent is not enough. And trying to figure out why I wasn't booking initially, even though I was signed to an agency. No matter what it is that you're doing, man, you really, if you want to be at the top of your craft, you have to put the work in to train. I mean, that's with anything, be it voiceover, basketball. You know, people talk about Kobe and his Mamba mentality. I mean, he didn't stop because he had the type of mentality. He was like, I have a goal, I'm going to get there. So just realizing that I was really my biggest, you know, kind of thing that was holding me back. I wasn't putting in the work to find the training and to get the training that I needed to be successful. That was my hugest challenge.
Because I'm asking, some of these students have given me this feedback on the answers that you're giving, because we know that your time is extremely valuable. So it's just, we want to make sure that they get enough meat out of this particular situation. This Zoom thing is kind of weird. Our classroom was wide, so I had to kind of get everybody to one side.
No problem.
Janae, give me a question for Mr. Goard.
When did you feel confident to do your first voiceover?
Honestly, I mean, if you just talking about like to actually do like a real one, like if I book the actual job, or do you mean literally just getting into voiceover?
Booking the actual job.
You know, when I booked my first job, I don't even think I was truly mentally ready because I didn't have any, you know, I booked one that was in 2013, right? But my next one that I booked was in 2021 in October. So wow, that's a pretty long gap. You know what I mean? So by the time I was serious in October of 2021, I booked my first one. I had to walk in there looking like I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't know what I was in for until I got in there. What you'll find in voiceover is a lot of times you're doing live sessions. So it's not just like you're recording. You got maybe 5 to 10 people listening to what you're doing in real time and giving you feedback. And then you've got to be able to give them what they're looking for. And it was a perfume commercial, and I had to talk in this real funny Scrooge type voice. So it was really a performance I had to give, but it was fun. So I think what I took from that is just go in with an open mind and be ready to perform. Because, you know, you really never know what you're going to get.
Gotcha. Who else has a question? Raise your hand, please. Sydney, this is Sydney.
Hi, nice to meet you. And thank you for talking to us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So what did you do to earn money until you really started making money from voice acting?
Well, believe it or not, even to this day, I still work a 9 to 5. So I work my 9 to 5 and I work this voiceover business like a 9 to 5. Next year I'll actually be full-time, but you know, again, I told y'all to start. I got 5 kids. So it's not like I can get a whole lot of downtime to play and figure things out, you know. So I mean, I had a full-time job as a web developer and a graphic designer. And so I've been with Yellow Pages, currently with Emory, and the department within Emory. It's a real long name, you know. It's the Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics. Basically, they talk about mindfulness and meditation, but I do all the websites for them. Say that again?
It's at Emory University, correct?
Yeah, Emory University. Yep. Yeah.
Is that in Atlanta?
Huh? Is
that in Atlanta?
No. Yeah. It's in Atlanta. Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a 9 to 5. Still have a 9 to 5. Just, you know, it helped to keep food on the table while I'm getting my feet under the ground and establishing my name in the business. Sometimes it's with, you know, a lot of actors are like that, and it's voice acting. So the people who do this consider themselves actors, and if y'all know, most actors be struggling. So you got to find ways to, you know, make ends meet until you get that break.
Okay.
Next question. This is Layla.
Hi.
Hey,
Are you an independent, or do you specifically work with a company or a brand?
A little bit of both. Now I'll tell you, my situation is a little unique in the fact that they have, so I'm with an agency. I'm with a big agency called CESD. I actually have 4 agencies I'm with. I'm with one in Chicago called Big Mouth Talent. I'm with one in New York and one in LA, both with CESD. And then I've got the one in Atlanta. But I do a lot of independent work on my own. Now, just to help you to understand how voice acting works, they have a union for voice actors. They have something, it's called SAG. Actors on TV and actors in voice acting join SAG. If you're SAG, you can't do a lot of independent work. Most of what you're going to get is going to be through your agency. Me, I live in a right to work state. So that gives me the advantage that I can do a lot of non-union work as well as union work. And that's a big deal because there's a lot of union, but there's also a heck of a lot of non-union work for big names out there. I mean, like I've done stuff for everything from like Boeing to, I'm just trying to think of some names. Now, Gatorade is a union one. That was one of the first big ones that I did out the gate. But let me see. Memorial Sloan Kettering is a very huge cancer hospital and cancer center. I've done some national stuff for them. They're non-union. And, you know, there's good money in non-union stuff. And so, you know, just depending on where you are, knowing your situation, you know, sometimes you can be independent and run your own business without having an agency. But it's an advantage if you can do both.
No. Kiel has a question. It's Kiel Owens in the back. Kiel, please pose your question. Nice and loud.
All right.
If you look back 20 years ago, do you see yourself in a position that you are today?
Wow, you threw that 20 years over. You just gonna remind me how old I am, right? I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I did in some capacity know that I would be here. You know, the one thing about life, man, is you can't always tell exactly how you're gonna get to the place that you're gonna be. You may have an idea. I knew I was a performer. I've been a performer all my life. So performing in this capacity, it's a little different. But even when I was young, I knew that some way, shape, or form, I was going to be performing for somebody somewhere in some capacity, whether it was music, you know, rapping. Man, listen, it's just, I love to entertain and I love, you know, the feedback that you get from the live, like doing what we're doing right now. This is my happy place, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I did in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not how exactly it was going to unfold, but I did have a good idea that I was going to be somewhere in this entertainment industry performing in some way.
This is Tavion. Tavion has a question for you.
What's going on, man?
What are some of your like different values or morals that you had to stand on to get, you know, how far you are in business right now?
I love that question. There's actually a few things, man. One of the first things is consistency. And I think you have to understand, you know, no matter what it is you say you want to do, education in your field is important. But being consistent with the effort that you put into it, being genuine, that's another aspect of what we do that I think a lot of people lack. You know, I came into this industry thinking that I needed to be successful. In order to be successful, I had to sound like people who were already successful. One of the most important lessons that I've learned is being your authentic self is enough. So consistency in whatever it is you're going after and really being authentically you is the next most important part, no matter what it is you're doing, but especially in this arena. I would say those are some of the most key elements. And just learning to be patient with the process, man. You know, nothing happens overnight. And a lot of people look at the success that I've had in a way where they don't see all the work that I put in. You know, and most people won't. You know what I mean? Like most of the people that you see that are successful now, you usually don't see all the effort, all the back end stuff that goes on, the no's. You know, it takes sometimes 1,000 no's before you get that one yes that will completely change the trajectory of your career, your life. And so that's where the consistency comes in. And I would say those would be the biggest things that, you know, you want to maintain no matter what you're doing.
Next question. Isis. This is Isis in the back. She has the red hat. You can't see. There she go. That's Isis.
Hey.
Isis, what's your question? Speak up louder.
I had a question similar to Avian. So I know you already talked about, you already knew where you wanted to be in life. So my question is kind of contradicting the whole thing, but I still wanted to ask anyway.
Yeah.
She asked, what was your biggest challenge? I wanted to know, did the challenges you faced made you want to change your career path at all during your journey, or were you strictly consistent about doing voiceover?
To be really transparent, no. I mean, reaching life, sometimes just get to life in. And, you know, going through everything from having children to the pandemic happening where everything switched on how we did things, there was a lot that changed. I mean, I made a good run initially at voiceover, and then I kind of let it fall to the side. You know, so if nothing else, it's a lesson in one, surrounding yourself with people who not only believe in you as much as you believe in you, but that are going to constantly pour positivity and messages into you so that you can continue to push through those obstacles that life is going to throw you anyway. So there were a lot of times that I wouldn't necessarily question where I wanted to go, but I allowed things to distract me. And this is why I say you have to be consistent through the distractions, because they're going to come no matter what. You can say you want to be something, but at the end of the day, are you willing to be that thing through all the other stuff that's going to happen? And that's the question I had to continually ask myself. And I'm grateful that I have a very loving and supportive wife. So again, the people you surround yourself with, your loved ones, your kids, your friends, family, all of that, you know, they're not always going to be in your corner, but you need to surround yourself with the energies that are going to help propel you in a way that's towards the direction that you want to go. And that was my saving grace, man. But yeah, absolutely. I fell off and then I picked it back up, you know, and that's just a part of life.
So we have one more question. We have about 5 more minutes. I wish we had
Okay.
more time, but I'm really excited about this conversation. Lauren, do you have a question for Mr. Goard?
Hey.
How you doing?
What in your life experiences was most helpful to you in becoming a voice actor?
Honestly, you know, I'm gonna just go back to figuring out about who I surrounded myself with, and really just doubling down on the effort that I put into it. Again, I like to refer to that the Kobe analogy with the Mamba mentality, because a lot of folks understand that. I mean, there was not a lot of people who could touch his intensity, the level of work that he put in. He was outworking everybody. You got to be willing to outwork yourself. And that's really what it boils down to. There's no easy path to anything that you want to have. But I can promise you this, if you are willing to have tunnel vision and outwork even your best performance, then you don't need competition from anybody else. You will always be your biggest competition. And that's what I tell folks. This industry is full of people, you know, full of people with, you know, like me. One of my things is I have a deep voice when I'm not hoarse from doing the 2-hour session. But that don't mean nothing. There's a lot of people with deep voices out here. There's a lot of people with the smooth voice out here. How much can you put in to what you say you want to get to where you want to be? And that's just it.
So we have a few more minutes. I have a specific question.
Okay.
I noticed you've been doing work for Disney, which owns Marvel, which has the Marvel cruise, and you were the voice of Kang, right? For the next 3 years,
man,
which is amazing. How, like, what feeling comes from playing such an iconic character with different iconic brands, Disney and Marvel?
It's something you can't even put into words, man. Honestly, there's 2 parts to this, because, you know, because I have kids, it's not just me that gets to enjoy it. You know, the biggest joy I get is from seeing them see something like that and they be like, "That's my daddy." You know, when I get to look at the joy on their faces, man. But honestly, it's an indescribable feeling, and sometimes it's surreal. And you try to enjoy the flowers and you try to enjoy the moment. But it's just like, there's always more to do. You know, they say that the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. And always allowing myself to not become complacent, because I appreciate the opportunities I get, but it's never going to be the end. And there's always going to be continuing to be opportunities. So it's an unreal feeling to see it and to hear it in person and to be a part of it. But yeah, man, it's a part of what the opportunities that come. And when you get a chance to be a part of something huge like that, you relish it and you soak it in, but then you put them focals back on and you get back to it.
And one more question. Do we have time for one more question? Do we have more question? Any one more question? You answered yours already? Okay, so let me ask you this. Did you choose the game or did the game choose you?
It chose me, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something, and I say this to a lot of people. When I was in school, this is back. Now, me and this man go way back. He'll tell you. I ain't gonna tell you his age because he probably older than me. No, I'm just messing with you. But
Just a few months
back,
older than you.
right. Back in the day, what I used to do when we was in school, I had a little silver boombox. This again, telling my age. I had a silver boombox with a cassette. I used to take my little G.I. Joes and my Transformers, and I put them in front of that joint. They all had roles, they all had personalities, and they all doing. I'm creating these skits, and I'm recording them, and I'm taking them to school to play for my guys, just to see the reaction on their face, to hear them laughing at how much of a nut I was being on tape. Right. So this goes back to when I was young. I was 6, 7 with that boombox. So
we
it's
met
always been there.
We were 6. You and I was 6 when we met.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it goes way back. So it chose me. It's a lot of times you don't know how it's going to form and end up in what medium you're gonna do, but most with everything that's in life, man, I promise you this, all of you guys have something in you and you've been chosen for something. You know, your job right now is to just chisel it away, experience as much as you can, and then double down on the things that move you in ways that you could do something like that every single day without pay, without somebody giving you $1, and chase that, man. Find ways, and because it's going to look different. There's many different ways it's going to show up. But I can promise you this, if you can tap into that part of yourself, it's always going to choose you. Each one of y'all got something in you, and you're going to find that there's going to be different ways you can express it. I just say go towards it without fear, and don't let anybody else's talk or experiences tell you what your experiences should be like. Because trust me when I tell you, a lot of folks were telling me, oh, you can't do this in 2 years, you can't do that in 2, you can't do this in a year, it's going to take you 5, 10 years to get to where I'm at. I just say, okay. But that doesn't have to be the mindset that I adopt. So at the end of the day, it always chooses you. You know, you, my man, have been instrumental in being a leader all your life, which is why you do what you do right now. So as far as I'm concerned,
don't get me emotional in here, man.
Yeah, it always chooses you, bro. And that's really what it is. And so I just encourage all of you, man, just listen to it, you know, quiet down enough, shut off the noise, you know, and just tap into it because it's in you. And you're going to find it's going to show up in some real interesting ways if you're open enough.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your insights. Please give them a round of applause.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity.
We're going to be looking for all the great things that are coming up so you can hear his voice. He has different vocal ranges. I didn't get the opportunity to ask you about how do you change your vocality and your range, but I'm somewhere in here. I'm here. I am. Trust me.
I got you.
But
hey, I do have the Starry Soda campaign. We're recording something.
You are a Lem, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
you're a lemon around here. I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know if y'all heard, you know, they retired Sierra Mist and they came out with this new drink called Starry Soda. Well, I'm the voice of the lemon. So if y'all see any of the commercials and y'all, you know, see a dry lemon out there talking crazy, that's me. But we got a couple campaigns coming up for the NBA sometime in this next week. So that'll be airing, man.
Awesome. We got one more question. Go ahead.
So are you the lemon with the limes? Or are you the lime with the lemon with the limes? Oh, wait.
No, it's just a lemon and a lime.
I'm the yellow one. I'm the yellow one. So that's his actual name is Lem. Yeah.
Right. No. All right. Anything else before we go? All right. Well, give him another round of applause. What I wanted to share with our students here at Chicago State University is that it's always important to give back, right? And for you to understand that and to take your time working with multinational brands with billion-dollar valuations, we don't always have the opportunity to even have any type of contact with a person who are next to these big brands. And so it's always important for me, if I have young people at my, in my class, to try to connect them with somebody.
Yeah,
right?
Listen, say less, bro. I'm an open book, and each and every one of y'all, knowing self, y'all got me for any questions you might have moving forward. My Instagram page is StevenG_VO. If you ever have a question, you want to reach out to me on there, you want to give them my email, I ain't got no problem, man. You know, one thing about everything that I do, community. That's the most important piece that I probably left out from one of you guys' questions that I want you to understand. And when I talked about surrounding yourself with people who believe in you or people who are going to give you energy, community could be one person or it could be many. But the community that you have around you is also a big part of what you have to give back to when you get in a position to be where he is or where I am. And that's one of the most important things I want to impress upon y'all is the community that you surround yourself with and that you give back to once you get to a point where you can offer any sort of guidance or information to somebody.
I appreciate you, brother. We're gonna talk soon. Send me a can of soda. I don't drink soda, but send me some.
Hey, it's all good. Hey,
I know you got
see your
Starry in the
t-shirt, dog.
You say what?
I'll see your t-shirt if
Yeah,
you don't drink the soda.
No, I'm not gonna drink the soda. I'm just gonna set it up there like this is my man. This is my man. That's my homie, Lemon. We rock with each other. Hey man, nothing but love, brother. We'll talk real soon, all right? Thanks again.
Hey, take care, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, give him a round of applause. Hey.
All right.